What up? What up? Let's see. Hey, what's up, man? I got the chat pulled up here. What's up, guys? Angel, what's up, man? So yeah, I'm gonna start going live a lot more. Yeah, let's kill it this week. UK and the his house. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing some more live. Instead of going live on Instagram, I really want to give the most value for you guys that are in the VIP group. So can everybody hear me okay? Should I turn the music off? Can you hear me all right? I take that as a yes. Okay. Yeah, okay. Cool. Well, yeah, I just want to wait a couple more minutes. But for everybody that's already on here, if you guys, anything that you want me to go over, I plan on going over the signals I've dropped, S&P 500, of course. I think that's the big thing, and the dollar for sure. So NJ is going to be like JPY pairs. S&P 500 is going to be JPY. And if there's anything you want me to look at, just drop it in the chat there for sure. So yeah, let's get started. Manage participants. And feel free if you want to want to share a chart or something like that, just let me know in the chat, and if we have time we'll do that at the end. But yeah, this will be a lot better to go over it like this. There we go. Share my screen, and thanks for hopping on. Let's kill it this week. I'm really feeling good about this week. I think it's going to be pretty slow. Not so much slow. We have a couple big events. ECB on Thursday is going to be huge. So that's why I think I've already dropped some Euro signals. I think it's going to be Euro strength at the start of the week, and then falling off at the end of the week into more I think the ECB is going to be super dovish. Let me put it that way. So where's the chat? Man, I can't find the chat screen. There we go. Okay. I was watching Conan O'Brien videos. Yeah, if you have any questions, I can't see the chat screen right now for some reason. So if you do have some questions, just hit me up and we'll go over it at the end. How does that sound? Go manage participants. Okay, so here we are with NZDJPY. But before I get into that, let's go into let's look at the S&P 500. So this was the first chart that I dropped. And as you can see here, man, this is huge. And I'm looking at it on the 4-hour chart here. So if you're in my training, you know all about the fanning trend line method for sure. And this is a great example of that. And the big thing I'm looking at here is this head and shoulders pattern, right? This looks like a head and shoulders straight up. There's the chat. Okay, cool. I see it now. GU for sure, for sure. Okay, we got the chat going. Let's roll. Head and shoulders pattern straight up here. So the thing is, this is the S&P 500. And as you all know, in my group, I mean, it's just obvious how manipulated this market has become with Trump, the Fed, Trump calling. He's wanting to pull back instant interest rates, cut interest rates, so the stock market goes higher and higher and higher going into this election cycle. I mean, I don't think it's any secret about what he's trying to do here. It seems pretty obvious to me, and it doesn't matter if you like the guy or don't like the guy. He's trying to pump up the stock market for his super rich friends, and so he can boost that we have the best economy ever. The thing is, it's starting to fall apart here because the dollar keeps getting, United States keeps getting better and better data. And because we're getting better data over and over again, the Federal Reserve Bank has less of a case to be cutting interest rates. And so the market's already priced in this huge interest rate cuts. And I think they've overshot the mark. So here we are on the S&P 500. What I noticed is that we failed to make another high here, right? So we have a high, high, high. And this is a classic 3-drive setup that I teach in the training, right? In the advanced section of the training, 3-drive. It's easy to spot. We have our divergence here. So it technically, man, this is a great setup. Okay, so here is our downside targets, right? So we have these, we're following our fractal lines here. We have 23.6. We have 38.2. And the reason I'm talking about the S&P 500 is if we get this to continue to drop, that means that we will have strength out of our safe haven currencies like the yen. So that brings me to NZDJPY and AJ, which we're still holding from last week. So yen would get strong and Australian dollar, NZD, would get weak. So let me repeat that. If the stock market is dropping, that is going to make safe or commodity currencies like Aussie and New Zealand weak, and it would strengthen the yen. So let's take a look at Kiwi yen. I really like this trade for multiple reasons. I'm going to take these different, so inverted head and shoulders pattern here. Yes, you could argue that this is already broken out. It's right on the cusp here, and argument definitely could be made that this is broken out. This is a retest. UJ short, potentially, for sure. But I'll get into UJ, man. I think that I think we're going to see some dollar strength, and I think yen will be strong across the board as long as the S&P drops. As long as the S&P drops, I think yen will be strong across the board because look, we failed to take out these highs here. We have a lower high, and we're below this trend line support here. Plus we're divergent, so we're starting to get some momentum, which would strengthen the yen on most markets across the board, especially. That's why I chose NJ and AJ as opposed to UJ. And I'll get into why I think dollar was going to be strong. So I think this looks like an excellent short. And I started using these boxes here. I think this is a good illustration. I used to do this. If you've been through my first training, I use these boxes a lot in there. It's a great way to really highlight support and resistance. And we have this major support and resistance area here, right? If we go back to the daily, look at this level. Support was support. Now it's resistance. And this goes back all the way to this little crash right here. This was back in 2015. You can see this is a significant area. So it's going to take a lot of momentum to break through here. I think especially as markets kind of pick up, I expect it to be a choppy week. I think this is going to be a prime one to pick off. And you can see we have these kind of exhaustion candles setting up here. And so I really like this trade. We're going to know for sure, like, if we break down out of here, if on your charts at home, you want to make this, you know what, I'm going to actually send this out in our VIP group so you guys know what it is that I'm looking at. And if we get below here and really get a nice close below there, you know, maybe this is going to be one you might want to not go huge on, but you know that we're in for a good drop, and maybe kind of scale on your position here. I think would be a good play. And AJ similarly looks weak as well. So clearly we have another inverted head and shoulders pattern here. We have another major line of resistance here. But the thing is, we weren't able to make another high right here. So potentially this looks like a double top setting up. You know, and if I really want to reach for it, and if I'm really looking to connect my fractal points, sure, I can do that. Then this looks like a nice cross trend line resistance here. And we'll just see. So this is how I always go about. I get my support and resistance out. I get my map out my trend lines, and I see where these different Fibonacci's level might match up here. And looks like we're kind of still in the middle ground between the 23.6 and 38.2, which is okay, which is good actually, because that just gives us more levels and more identified levels of support and resistance. And the line in the sand for AJ is a little bit further down than NJ. But we get below here and get a good close and some momentum, this is going to be an excellent play. And could be, man, if we get some more weakness out of the stock market, right? I mean, let me know, type a yes if you guys agree with this, if you disagree. But, you know, this looks like a pretty solid textbook head and shoulders here. And if we get below this neckline, that's going to really confirm this pattern. I really like this setup. Granted, it's the United States stock market. It's, you know, about as manipulated as cryptocurrencies these days. So, you know, you take the technical analysis, it's not the end all be all, because a lot could go down. Tomorrow, Trump will probably, I would say he could, but he probably will. I would bet money there's going to be some sort of tweet about China, about some sort of trade deal, and this thing is going to, gold is the new Trump toy for sure, because that's tied into the interest rates. That's tied into, he wants the weak dollar, strong gold, and he wants the stock market to skyrocket. So going into the election in the 2020, he can be like, look what I did for the stock market. So yeah, dude, you got it. It's not, yeah, it's not really rocket science what he's trying to do. I personally am liking UJ onto the long side here. And the reason why is And look, we'll definitely know we have another clean breakout point here, right? So if we get above this level, it could be off to the races for you, Jay. The opposite side of that, I think you're right, man, is that if we do break below here and yen gets the strength, then sure, man, this thing is gonna really drop. The thing is, the dollar is a safe haven currency. So the stock market starts to fall, the S&P starts to fall here, and get some downside momentum, then money's going to go out of the S&P, out of equities, into a strong dollar, because the reason the dollar is going to strengthen, especially if there's more positive U.S. data, then the market's going to be like, holy shit, we have been pricing in a 50 base point cut for the Fed when they're actually going to only cut 25 and maybe even less than that. They probably won't do less than 25, but the market's already priced in a huge rate cut. So man, next week on the 31st for that Fed meeting, the markets are going to go bonkers. It's going to be crazy. Totally. Yep, they are. They're selling it for sure, man. But the thing is, that's a great point, man. I appreciate that. So the thing is, that's what I think could be strengthening the dollar. And let's go to let's check out the calendar this week. And this is going to be big. Thursday is going to be monster day. It's going to be pretty quiet up until then. So I think it's going to be really choppy market. We'll take a look at EURUSD. And Lewis, as far as CJ goes, that has a lot to do with oil. And man, if the S&P 500 falls, I expect oil prices to fall, and I expect yen to CJ. CAD is right there in line with Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So if those are weak, if NJ falls, AJ falls, I expect CJ to not be much different. And so Thursday is going to be huge, man. So in the ECB press conference, if Draghi is super dovish, which he will be, euro data has been horrible. It's been super bad. So if he is really dovish, the euro is going to get super weak. And the other side of that is the dollar index is going to the dollar is going to rally super hard because of the dollar. The euro makes such a big part of the dollar index. So the line in the sand for the dollar is right here. Right there. Line in the sand. So if you want to make that on your own charts, I'll send this out to the group. If we break above that, I expect gold to continue dropping. And Euro USD to rip, Aussie dollar, US dollar. I shared a chart in there for that earlier, and NU to drop hard, definitely. So we're at a huge juncture, and man, it's really the market's going to be waiting for next week for sure. More than anything, I think the market's really going to be waiting for to see what happens on the 31st. But Thursday's the big day because not only do we have the ECB here, we have this durable goods. And this is right at the same time on 7:30 a.m. on Thursday. So Thursday's going to be crazy, you all. Thursday's going to be nuts. Until then, I expect a really rangy market. I like our trades right now because we can trade off the technicals. Euro USD, we're in this little range here, right? So, and Euro USD's been ranging forever. So I think this is going to be a good trade to pick off. You know, if you get a good entry down here, I think we have a great entry. Take profits around 1.1250, and you know you can set a sell limit here 1.1260, 1.1270. And we can, and my plan is to kind of scalp this little range on Euro USD for the week. Euro AUD, I think it's going to be a good trade. For the same reason, the S&P 500 drops. That's going to, S&P, yeah, totally, man. All these buys are at the same point. The S&P 500 drops, Aussie dollar gets weak, Euro is going to just play off that Aussie weakness. Euro won't necessarily be strong, but I think we'll see a little bit of strength before this dovish ECB meeting on Thursday. CJ, Luis, I'll check out CJ for you. So, man, this is a good call. That we're at a nice juncture here. What I would do and what I look at immediately is these cross trend lines. We're pretty trapped here. And in fact, if we go to an hourly chart, it kind of looks like we're already breaking down here. So the big factor on CJ for sure is, you know, if the yen strengthens from S&P weakness. Now, the other side of that, guys and gals, is that if, say, the S&P rallies, which, like, you know, we've already been saying it definitely could, because the way the stock market's been manipulated. Say we go up and we see some new highs here all of a sudden, the yen's going to be super weak, and we can expect AJ to continue rallying and NJ to continue its rally. But the reason I'm going counter trend on those trades is because we failed to make another high here on the S&P 500, and that's a big signal to me that we're going to have some weakness coming out of the equity market, and a great opportunity to short these yen pairs. So same on Swiss yen. So for our Swiss yen trade, like, you know, just like I talk about in the training, we want to just section off here. So we're in this section here, which is a big zone. So it's going to take a lot to break out of this, especially if the ECB is super dovish and euro falls flat on its face on Thursday. You can expect the Swiss franc to do the same, because they're, you know, they're intertwined in everything that goes on in European politics. You know, the franc is a safe haven, but a lot of it depends on what's going on with the European central banks. So I still like this trade. I forget who asked in the chat, but I still like this setup for sure. Now, if we make some moves above this trend line here, then, you know, it might not be a bad idea to second guess this trade. So yeah, now let's take a look at gold. And I think I've covered EURUSD, EURUSD, EURAUD, NJ, AJ, S&P 500, UJ. And here we are on the heartbreaker gold. So when I was resetting my Fibonacci's, I found out that this was an excellent level because of our rejection here at the 261.8. Oh yeah, GU, Angel. Let me, I'll finish this. So we're at a huge point on gold. A lot is depending on what happens fundamentally with the rate cut. I think gold is going to range in this range that from this level, maybe even a little bit lower. Like if we break down below this trend line here, that's going to be a pretty big turnaround, and would mean we're going to retest this 1400 level down here. But that depends on the kind of dollar strength that we have coming through. I think that kind of dollar strength is going to happen after following what happens with the Fed. So until then, I expect kind of a range around here. I would love to see it drop. And of course, if we go out to the weekly chart, I know this looks like a mess, but look at this, man. We're hanging around here on the Ruben, what's up, man? We're hanging out. We're still in this massive overbought territory. We made a high. We made, this is what I meant. I posted in the chat last week. I expect a big blow off top. And this is probably one of my favorite setups. We have these highs here. We have this huge blow off of energy coming up. We got rejected at this 261.8, which was at 1445. Let's see what that looks like across the history here, right? Which is, you know, a massive level of resistance. And we're close to this 50% retracement. And look, we're divergent on the weekly down here. So if you remember my training, we have two pushes, you know, a double tap on this RSI, and on the daily, we have this blow off top. I'll just delete this stuff to make it. Right, so we broke out of this pennant, made a new high price action wise, but we failed to confirm that high on the RSI. So, you know, it's gold. It's gone way beyond technical analysis these past couple of weeks, and it's just continued to rally and rally and rally. Now everybody's long, and which is the perfect time to, like, everything I've looked at on Twitter, I've been following this very, 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 very closely. and the banks are historically short right now. So everybody's long. Say the Fed doesn't cut interest rates as much as everybody thinks they're going to, and the bottom falls out on gold, and leaves retail traders, you know, super long. And if that's the case, then these levels down here, this breakout point, seems pretty probable. So, but that's more of a two. Oh yeah, for sure, Hugo. Dollar strengthens, gold goes down, dollar is going to rip, 100%. So, and look at this divergence here, and look at this weekly RSI, right? So, just to give you guys a look at it, you know, every time for RSI, right? Every time that we get up into these levels, right? See it, finally we see divergence here, right? On this RSI. And then what happens? Big drop. And it continued to drop. Continued to drop. Continued to drop. And of course, dropped all the way down from this high here down. So I'm not saying it's going to be that big of a drop, but we can't hang out in this RSI level forever, you know. So we can only get so overbought before the market pulls back on it. Now, does that mean we're not going to make another rally? No, but it does mean that it's coming to an end for sure. And this whole interest rate thing, like I said, on Tuesday, next Tuesday, markets are going to go bananas, and this could, you know, gold is definitely one of them, one way or the other. And so it's shaping up to be a huge drop. Until then, we're going to see a lot of up and down. Now, if we break past this level that we're at now, which we're at a pretty critical level right now, if we break below that, you know, it's going to be a good drop into this zone here. So let's take a look at GU. Hope y'all are liking this, man. I'm definitely going to try to go and do this a lot more often this week for y'all. Now, man, Angel, I don't know what to say with GU other than thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the feedback for sure. I would like to do it with everybody's videos and stuff too. I've done it like that before, but sometimes we'll experiment this week and see what, you know, the best way to figure it out. But thanks, Ruben. Appreciate the feedback. The thing is, man, I don't want to get my hopes up on buying the pound. But we're long overdue for a comeback here. And the reason why, so I've been talking dollar strength, but maybe not so much on cable, maybe not so much on GU, because the market's been giving us some clues already on the potential comeback for the pound. And the big comeback factor, does anybody know? Does anybody want to guess in the chat? What would be the clue? Boris Johnson, for sure. I mean, I don't know that as much. You probably know more, as much, if not more, about the political side of Boris Johnson and Brexit and everything. But from a technical analysis point, what is a good gauge on when GU is finally going to turn around? We're going to see some pound strength. What would be a correlating pair? Anybody? You can just guess. Boom. Yep. EG, right? So good job, man. And if we see the euros break down after the ECB, which I think it's going to. This is already broken down. And look, we've been trying to trade EG for a while, and it's been a rough ride for sure. But this looks like a big old turnaround to me. This looks like a top. Now, we could get a push up and a push down, and that would create a double top up here. Or we could continue this momentum and see a big old turnaround on EG, which would be huge, because here we are with our ascending wedge. And when this happened on Euro Pound, and we broke out, stop hunt, total stop hunt here, got everybody long, took out stop losses, and then what do we have here? Huge drop, which could be exactly, you know, what's happening on gold. It's been ripping shit. EG will go to L and G will surprise everybody. Totally, man. So as soon as this thing drops, the dollar could be strong across the board, but once the pound finally wakes up, and the way pound trades, man, it's a fucking beast. Yeah, I don't know much about Jeremy Hunt, man. Head and shoulders, yeah, oh totally, man, for sure. This could be a shoulder, head, shoulder. I think the double top could be a lot of times out of ascending wedge, we get one drop, the formation gets broken, and then we get one more push, you know, because it shakes out. Now everybody gets short, and we get one more push, and it takes those people out, and a double top gets created a lot of times out of an ascending wedge. But you know, next stop is this moving average down here, which is, I forget which moving average I have set up here. 200 day, yep. Which on the daily chart is all the way down to 8,800. But first of all, I think this is more likely scenario. It would be 8,900 just to start out with, which is also about the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement, right? So this would be a great one to trade back and forth, you know, because then we can bounce off this moving average. Maybe the euro picks up some strength, but once we know that this is breaking down, this is going to be a good one to really build a position around and catch it on the way down to these lower levels, right? 50% retracement. Oh man, so yeah, super divergent. Like if we take a look on the RSI here, this tells me this is already broken down. And divergent, it breaks down. And remember, we can do, it's not like the most full poop, you know, it doesn't work every time, but technical analysis on RSI indicators still works, right? So this is and it works. It's not like you don't want to base a trade off of this, but once you see this, and that's more of a confirmation that the momentum has gone to the downside here. And this 38.2 looks like a great target. Because it makes a great it fits our supply and demand zone here, or support level, very well. If you're not following my Twitter, give it a follow. Booyah. So yeah, thanks for hopping on, everybody. Let's take a look at one more. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ here, because I like the S&P 500, but look, this is another reason why I think the equities are breaking down, is because look, just like this is another version of a blow off top, right? We have another high. RSI isn't confirming though. Divergent RSI. We can place our fanning trend lines here. Whoa. And so this looks like some momentum and just another signal, right? I'm not saying go trade the NASDAQ, but I'm saying this is a good sign that maybe we have some weakness coming, right? We have a higher high, another high, and we couldn't break it, right? Another confirmation that we could have some strong yen and strong dollar. So it's shaping up to be a good week. This week is like the transition week to, this is the transition week going into the Fed on the 31st on Tuesday. It's going to be crazy, man. So let's crush it this week. And I mean, yeah. So we're gonna just crush it, man. We're gonna be a team, and we're gonna all navigate this. This is probably gonna be the biggest like Fed thing of the year because of this rate cut. Because this is the first time we cut rates, right? So this is gonna be a big deal. So let's get it. Let's crush it. Thanks for hopping on, everybody. Does anybody have any questions? Totally, Angel. Totally. Well, cool. All right, everybody. Yeah, man, we're going to do this a lot more. So thanks for hopping on. I've recorded it. If you hopped on like halfway through, I'll be posting it onto my IG and YouTube. NASDAQ. So NASDAQ is a tech index for the US. So you have the S&P 500. You have the NASDAQ, which is like the tech stocks. And then you have the Dow Jones, which is like the industrial stocks. So, and we're just using that as a gauge for the correlated markets. And the more you learn, Ruben, and once you start going through my training, you'll learn all about the way I trade and the way I teach is to look at all these other markets and to make a distinction on how they correlate to Forex, how the commodities are going to translate. And if you think of trading, if you think of the markets, man, think of one giant flow chart. And like 2 weeks ago, money flew out of the US. It flew out of gold. It flew out of it flew out of the dollar into gold. Right before that, it was in oil, right? So we have this big flow chart out of oil into the dollar. The dollar tanks, goes into gold. Then the past 2 weeks out of gold into the stock market when we broke that high of 3,000, right? So we broke the high at 3,000, and now, as I demonstrated today, the S&P 500 is breaking down, so we're going to go out of the S&P, out of stocks, back into the safe haven currencies, so into yen, back into the dollar, and especially if the Fed doesn't cut as much as the market's already priced in, that huge flow is going to go back into the dollar. So if you start thinking of the market and just where the money's flowing to at any given point in time, then you can really start to trade around the correlated stuff to that. So I know I just went on a tangent, but if you start thinking of it, thanks, Jerry. If you start thinking of it in a huge flow chart, it really makes it way more simple. So let's crush it this week, man. I'll be posting this for you all to watch later if you want to go back and see how this all panned out. So thanks, Ruben. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on. Appreciate you. Who we got in here? We got Susanna, Suze, what's up? Jerry, Hugo, Eduardo, JL, OMTJ, DV, Diogo, Chase, Ambor, Angel. Thanks for hopping on, everybody. Adios, amigos and amigas. Peace. Adios. Speaking of adios, I got to go home and get on Rosetta Stone and study my Espanol. I still got a little bit of time to do that. All right, everybody. Thanks, Eduardo. Peace.